All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is King of Cards Tarot Readings coming through with a general collective message. So, like I said, I think I said, basically, we were working, there was a reevaluation, then we started to pivot, and now it feels like we're starting to get some direction. Although I can tell the collective feels like they're not doing anything at all. Am I right? I know I'm right. But basically what I'm getting here from today's flash reading is basically there's going to be a lot of thought coming through, a lot of brainstorming coming through as far as what what we're trying to secure for ourselves now that we have put a little time in focusing on our purpose. Because from that vantage point, we can see what is worth our time and worth our energy and stop contributing so much to things that, although we walk away from them with gain and with learning, we don't feel that the weight of our momentum has any cohesive direction. It feels like we move in a direction, reevaluate, move in a direction, reevaluate, but we're not sure if we're getting any closer to anything at all. So, yeah. Uh, Flash reading is basically make way for the brainstorm, have a journal on hand, be ready to whip out the voice recorder and just take notes. There's going to be a lot coming through for you mentally, uh, intellectually. Um, the channel's going to be really clear. So, yeah, and basically, the work that you've done is going to allow you to craft something new on that foundation and secure yourself a space of originality. Okay, so I'll jump into the reading. For our main issue, we have the Prince of Swords. So this guy is the airy aspect of air. Am I right? Or is this the Prince of Discs? Let me look. I hate when I say things wrong. Yeah, this is the Prince of Swords. Just, it's interesting because you see how many circles there are here, but they're just the idea of the material. That's what it is. But, so this guy represents the thought of thought, thinking about thinking, like the essence of contemplation. That's why I'm seeing that you should make way for these very pure thoughts, this high level concept to come through for you at this time. And yeah, be ready for it because when it comes, it comes. And when it's gone, it's gone. So you have to be able to like catch it, find a way of anchoring it into the physical through writing or recording. I mean, really, that's what this whole King of Cards channel is about for me, trying to document a daily process of energy evolving. So, for our right hand opposal, our positive influence or future state, we have art. And art has to do with the process of taking something old and making something new. So, death, which is the transformation process itself, is happening within this card as a subset to what is happening here. So in this card, we're not as focused on the transition part, not that part of the process, but the process that leads to that process. So, like, it's preparation of the workspace, it's um, acquiring art supplies or craft supplies. It's studying the blueprint, making the blueprint. Yeah, getting ready, washing the cup, washing the dish, washing the paintbrushes. All these things that contribute to that moment of creation, that continued moment of creative export or impulse. And then, so for our left hand opposal, we have three of discs, which is called works. And I find it quite telling that works is on our left and art is on our right, because works is really pointing to the process of actually applying paint to paper, of drawing each line, the repetitive, unique motions that add up to the total process, the end result, or the ongoing production. So, yeah, I'm getting that this being in the left as our past tense, but also our antithetical influence. I'm seeing that now, for a moment, is not as important to be going through the motions of painting or the hammering of nails. That still will appear, and as it is happening, thoughts will come through. And that's the thing to focus on, is like catch those thoughts, take those notes. Right now, they're going to be so much more important than like doing another painting, finishing another song. Like, if that process can like be done in service to bringing those thoughts through, or can be used as a vehicle for engaging with those thought forms, then it's totally worth it. Um, but also, you've done enough of this in the past that even just sitting still outside or in a cave, the thoughts are going to come through to you. Your body is going to go through the motions of repeating these gestures, these works, and trying to find unexpressed aspects that can come through you uniquely. And when you can record that through writing or recording, you have a new foundation you can go to in this future state when you start like preparing for craft, for production. But because there's so much similarity between these two cups, the three cards, between the three of discs and art, because they both refer to the process, but works is so much more focused on the individual brush strokes and the accumulation of them, the repetition of individual things adding up to a sum total. Whereas art is much more focused on like the space in which those works are happening. And it's interesting because death is basically the meeting point of those two cards. But instead of seeing death here, we're seeing the Prince of Swords. And so what he's saying is basically right now we don't need to be doing the actual crafting. We just need to be reflecting on the individual aspects, like the individual lines of code, individual variable declarations and accessors, and also focus on the the mind space of the creative impulse. And by focusing on that, we can allow these new thoughts to come through, this clarity that will redefine how we approach those things in the next space or in the current space. But it's a reminder that taking that time to stop and let those thoughts come through when they show up, rather than focusing on the material aspect at this moment, will be very advantageous. And then for our deck top card, we have Two of Wands called Dominion. And so for me, this card has to do, I think I've said it before in this set of readings, but this has to do with the range, the scope of activity that any action has. And so I think to me, this is really pointing towards you finding your unique niche, your space of expression that others will come to emulate, but you will be pointed at as being uniquely original in your work when times come or as time progresses. And I think that's what many of us in this collective are reaching for is how can we not just keep doing things that other people are doing? How can we do something truly original, truly game changing? Um, I think a lot of us already have. I remember there was a reading a couple weeks back that pointed to you changing the industry you're in with a revolution of doing something differently than it had been done before. And so this reading is for me pointing to looking at the space of your endeavor, finding your range and your comfortable range. Like, what is the place you want to do work? And then from there, how can you operate in that space in a way that moves you towards unique expressions rather than simply repetitions of what has come before? Yeah, this is a good reading for me. I think it's showing that we're coming into this abstract space of the Prince of Swords from a very grounded space of works, of looking back at our portfolios, the work that we have done, and then looking forward towards what it is we want to create, what types of works, what mediums, what processes we would want to work in the future. And yeah, with this balanced fire overlooking the whole space, I see that not a lot of action is required to establish yourself as fundamental in this arena. Um, what's most important is making that space for that clarity of thought to come through because you are uniquely adapted to appreciating these concepts based on your specific vocabulary and your specific recognition patterns and pattern recognition that you've developed through working in these various domains. So yeah, I think that's pretty clear cut. So I'm gonna let this one be short. Um, unless anything else pops out to me. It seems pretty clear, honestly. I like a reading like this. It's complex enough that I think it applies pretty universally to the collective. But it's not so complex that it feels disjointed, and it's not so simplistic that it feels like it's really giving a specific, like, time bound message. I think this is pretty timeless, but for those of you watching, it's pretty timely, and you've pretty much just come to the place where you're either ready for this again or you're ready for this for the first time, depending on how far along you are in the path that you're walking. But basically, just keep doing your life, do what you're doing, but make the space in your mind to pay attention to when thoughts come through that you can capture and anchor for later use. There will be a lot of really good stuff coming through to you today. Alright, so I've said it before, and I will say it again. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you will be alerted when new messages drop. This has been King of Cards Tarot Readings. Stay safe out there, and until next time, I'll see you real soon.